All right, so Andy Farrell has named his 23 that he's going to play against the Wallabies on Saturday in Brisbane, and it is sort of roundly what you would expect, but with a couple of calls that have come with the controversy, which is probably always going to be the case. Not everyone was always going to agree on who he picked. This is the team that he's selected, so as you can see, he has gone with a balance of English, Scottish, and Irish. And for the first time in over 100 years, there isn't a single Welsh player in the Lions team. Now, 2 videos ago, when I did a prediction about who I thought Andy Farrell was going to pick, I got something like 18 or 19 of them correct if you take into account the Mac Hansen injury, where I think I'd updated that to Freeman and then pulled Blair King on another bench who I don't actually think's fit either. So out of the pack, the starters, there was only 2 starters I didn't predict that Farrell would have, and the back line is exactly what I predicted. And then there's a couple of different players on the bench, but it's a really strong side, and it's frankly a side that you would expect to put the Wallabies away for the first test. So if we look up front, these are the forwards that Andy Farrell has picked, and he's gone with Genge, Sheehan and Furlong as the front row. So that is probably what most people expected to be the front row. A good balance between Genge and Furlong in terms of how they play. Genge a little bit more dynamic around the park. Furlong really there as the big anchor in tight end for the scrum. Itoje and McCarthy in the row. Itoje was always going to start because he is the captain, and Joe McCarthy's probably played his way into that front 5 on form. That is something you could probably also argue for Ellis Genge. Sheehan, I'd say, had that shirt tied down. Same with Itoje, and Furlong anywhere close to being fully fit. You would also imagine Furlong was always going to start there too. The back row is where there's a little bit more contention now. If you'd have asked anyone 6 months ago what their starting back row would have been, with the knowledge maybe that Caelan Doris wasn't going to be fit, you would probably have had a lot of people say to you Burn, Curry, and then someone like Conan. So Conan, I don't think, is a controversial pick. I think 8 shirt really depends on what sort of player you want there. Do you want that big, abrasive, horrible number 8? If you do, then he's your man. If you wanted someone a little bit dynamic, a bit quicker in wide channels, you're looking at Ben Earl, Henry Pollock. But Conan gets the nod. And then at 6, Tyke Burn, 7, Tom Curry. 2 players who probably haven't had the strongest tours, but have, I would argue, been picked based on an enormous bank of credit that they have built up previous to this tour. Tyke Burn has captained in the midweek team already. Tom Curry, he's not been at his best. I wouldn't say he's been poor, though, but Jack Morgan has been exceptionally good. Van der Fleer has been good, so Jack Morgan may be a little hard done by not to make the 23 at all, but Tom Curry starting, I don't think you could argue really with the strength of that pack. That pack is outstandingly strong, and it is massive as well. So has that pack been picked to sort of strong-arm the Wallabies out of the game? I'd say it probably has. The backs, I would argue, there's just basically no shocks here. So Gibson, Park and Russell have been the front runners for a while. They've played together already on the tour. It's been quite deliberate, I think, when they've been picked together. So seeing them picked together really doesn't surprise me at all. Tuipulotu and Jones, have they? I don't think anyone's ever going to know really if they've been picked entirely on form or not, because Ringrose's injury, or Ringrose being ruled out of the first test, I said in a previous video, I think it sort of ruled Ake out as well because of their partnership. So Tuipulotu and Jones, I think personally that they've been the form centres, and I think that they deserve to start. But the Irish duo, I don't know if they're all fully fit, would they have picked that? But he has gone for the Scottish duo. I think it's the right call. I'm looking forward to seeing them outside Finn Russell. That is, I think, actually also a partnership, Russell, Tuipulotu, Jones, that hasn't been played at all on the Lions. I think people have read a little too much into that because, like, they play with each other all the time for Scotland. They know it works, and that's why they're all on the tour. And the back 3, James Lowe on the left wing, I don't think there's anyone really who's pressured that shirt. Van der Merwe has not had a hugely successful tour. Lowe's got that left boot kicking option that everyone keeps talking about. But in fairness, it is, something a bit different. It does allow you to attack down those edges. Australia will probably come after the Lions in the aerial battle a bit as well. So Lowe on the left wing, Freeman on the right wing. I think that's the right call. Hansen, I don't think is fit, but I personally would have gone with Freeman anyway. So Freeman out wide, and then Hugo Keenan at fullback. I don't think Kinghorn is fit. I think if he was fit, he'd have been a good shout for 23. But Keenan, after his injury, after being ill for a while, actually showed up and played pretty well last week, and he's another one that's got that massive bank of credit behind him. He's so good under the high ball. He's such a second link ball player, really good at that as well. So the back line also incredibly strong. And into the replacements, Kelleher, Porter, Stewart. Kelleher, I don't think that's a surprise to anyone with Cowan Dickey being out injured. Porter and Genge, it was more a case of really which way he was going to start them round, but he's decided to put Porter on the bench for impact. Him, Stewart, Kelleher, that is a real scrummaging front row to come off the bench as well. I don't think they're going to have it easy when they come on because Australia are pretty good scrummagers. But strong front row to come off the bench. Stewart gets the nod ahead of Beelum. I wasn't entirely sure he was going to do that. I thought he might have gone with Beelum maybe on form and on preference. I don't know, but Stewart's got the nod. Chesham in the 19 shirt. I do like that with Tyke Burn starting at 6 because Chesham has that versatility to play second row and also to play 6. And the lineouts look class when he's been there. He's had a really good tour, Ollie Chesham, so I'm pleased to see that he's in the 23. And then Ben Earl gets the nod at 20. Probably you'd argue over Henry Pollock. I think Earl is the right call. Earl has got like the most meters made, most post-contact meters, most line breaks, something. He's got a couple of stats like that anyway that I think highlight that he has been better than Pollock has been on the tour. He's got more experience. He's more proven. And Earl, as a result of that, gets 20. He can come on, play 7, play 8. The 5 forwards on the bench, I think, are really good choices. And then the 3 substitutes in the backs, Alex Mitchell at scrum half. I don't think anybody would be particularly surprised by that. And Marcus Smith in the 22 shirt, maybe picked on versatility over Finn Smith. He's able to play 10 and 15. And then 23, I think, with no disrespect to Bundy Aki, I think this maybe is reflective a little bit of the injuries that they have in the backs because Elliot Daly has gone home. You probably would have thought he'd have been a good option for 23. Blair Kinghorn can play anywhere from 10 to 15. He'd have been a good option for 23. Mac Hansen also injured. So Bundy Aki at 23, you would imagine that if Aki does come on, there will be movement around the pitch with players already on there because you're probably not going to bring Bundy Aki on anywhere other than 12. So Tuipulotu will either have to move or he'll have to come straight off. And if Tuipulotu goes out to 13, will Hugh Jones get pushed out to the wing if there's injuries? I don't know. So Aki in at 23, but one thing's for sure with Bundy Aki is that if he's coming on with 20 minutes left and you've been playing centre for an hour and he's running at you, you're not going to be having a great time, are you? And as much as you would expect the Lions to win this series, at minimum 2-1, if not 3-0, the Wallabies have selected a decent side. This is the Wallabies side here, and I'm not going to really pull too much of it apart because I don't watch a huge amount of Australian rugby, but what I do know is that they are ranked lower than the nations that are comprising the team for the Lions, give or take maybe Scotland after this weekend. And Australian rugby is not in a great place, I would argue. So will they be competitive? Yes. Will it be difficult for the Lions? Yes. Would you expect the Lions to win this? Yes, absolutely. Let me know what you think about this Lions team to face the Wallabies on Saturday in the comments. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, then please do so. I really appreciate it.